Hello, this is Coach Brumund-Smith, Lake Forest Track and Field, Twitter at LFHS Track, with the lowest quality produced video on YouTube, but it should be fun. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to be watching some movies that have track and field in it and kind of analyzing to see how, as a track coach, I feel they did portraying what a real track and field meet or situation is like. I'm going to review some movies that are specifically about track and field, like Prefontaine and stuff like that, and others that just feature some track and field moments in them to see how, as a track coach, I think they did. The first one we're going to watch is Cool Runnings, which should be one of everybody's favorite movies. You can find it on Disney Plus, and it's a bobsledding movie, but the premise of the movie is that it's three sprinters actually, and a driver of a push cart who use that speed and try to make the Olympics in bobsledding. And the opening scene of the movie shows them in this race to try to make the Jamaican Olympic team for the 4x100 meter relay by running the 100-meter dash at the Jamaican Olympic trials.
So here we go. And I'd like to mention that they started this movie by having one of the athletes jogging around, like doing distance running to train. And I want to say never do that if you're a sprinter. But anyway, here we go. In the blocks. Pretty good. Take your mark, set. That's what they do. You should never have your head up when you do a start, but here we go. Pretty good so far.
Now, Jamaica in 1988 and Jamaica now are very different in terms of the depth and the quality of the athletes that they have. Obviously, Usain Bolt, Asafa Powell, guys like that were not around back in 1988 competing. But Jamaica was still very good in 1988. They got fourth in the 4x100 meter relay at the Olympics that year and won a silver medal in the 4x400 meter relay with a guy named Trevor Graham, which if you're a track guy, you might know him. Look him up. And so the fact that they're running on a dirt track is ridiculous. The Jamaican trials were not run on a clay dirt track in 1988. That is insane. But they did a pretty good job. They showed people getting in the blocks. They had the commands correct. I've never seen one person 100 meters trip and take out two other people. But hey, I'm willing to forgive that. That's a pretty good opening scene minus the venue. I think they did a pretty good job showing track and field. The one we're going to do next is another comedy. It's Billy Madison. All right, there is a track scene in Billy Madison. Everyone loves that movie. Here we go.
Not bad. All right. I want to point out that Eric there was wearing spikes, as you can see, and Billy Madison was not. He was wearing regular running shoes. That's why you lost.
Gotta say, the comedies are hitting 2 for 2 right now. That was pretty good. Wasn't actually a track and field competition, for example, not like a track meet. It was more of a race between Eric and Billy there to see who wins the Madison hotels or whatever. The actors looked like they were both sprinting and trying really hard. It was a close race. I thought that was exciting. That was a good depiction of what an actual sprint race looks like. Afterwards, Eric has to gloat a little bit, second team All-American Harvard track. If he really was the second team All-American for Harvard, he would have dusted Billy in that race. The actors, I looked it up, they're 7 years apart in age. He would have killed him. But overall, I thought that was great. Eric was wearing spikes. If you want to sprint, you got to wear spikes. Continue with comedies. I'm not going to insult you guys by showing Revenge of the Nerds. Lamar Latrell Lamar, whatever his name is, throwing the wobbly javelin. Obviously, a javelin that's wobbly is not going to go anywhere. We are going to stick with comedies and show you a scene from 21 Jump Street. All right, I just want to say also the setup for this scene is that they get the two cops in 21 Jump Street going undercover, get their identities mixed up. And the coach thinks that the Jonah Hill character was all county and track. Now, nobody would look at Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum and think, yes, Jonah Hill, you must be the fast one. All right. That's, I know it's a comedy, but that's the hilarious setup to this. No, the coach should have known right away what was up. Anyway, here we go with the scene.
All right, let's go, McQueen!
So here we are. He said he was going to run anchor in the 4x400. This is clearly the 4x100. Where they're lined up is for a 4x1. And first off, that is the worst handoff I've ever seen in my life. And if his team was a bunch of rejects, how'd they get a big lead? But whatever, I love the scene. So, more terrible handoffs. And
don't throw the baton, you jackass! Come on! McQuaid! Run!
The handoffs were insanely bad. My pet peeve as a track coach is bad handoffs, and those were just horrendous. And no one running is going to let you, smack the baton out of their hand or anything like that. And obviously, you cannot throw the baton; you're going to get DQ'd. But that was a pretty good scene. We're going to watch another comedy next. It's called Juno. I've actually never seen this movie.
yeah, that looks like a cross-country practice to me. Looks like a cross-country outfit to me. He's got his headband and everything. That's fine. Oh, they're on an actual track. Run a little wide, but I understand you got to get everybody in frame. Okay. Short shorts. Again, real stuff. That was the worst hurdle I think I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, here's the thing about the short shorts. Yes, distance runners wear short shorts. They're functional. They've become a badge of honor. You don't see any other sport really wearing them. A lot of people, when they start doing distance running, cross country, they come and they've got the long basketball shorts on, and they realize after a while that they're heavy and they drag, and so they eventually switch to the short shorts. I've got plenty of short shorts. These are the ones I wore in the Chicago and the Boston Marathon. I was a sprinter, but I've ran cross country in high school, and I've done some marathons in my life. And yeah, short shorts are one of those things with distance runners. Even though they get made fun of for them, they like wearing them. It's like a badge of honor. It's like wearing Speedos and swimming. I saw like a Google image. I clicked on some stuff on Juno. It looks like a pretty good movie. And he's wearing Nike Zoom MDs, mid distances, in that movie. So, hey, they actually picked a real track shoe as well. Good job for them. Next up, we have the movie Grease. Love it.
Long distance running. Cross country running. That would be cool. Good.
That's Sid Caesar, by the way. He's awesome. He's hilarious. This is the famous track scene. And yeah, that kind of looks like track practice. Yeah, he's doing his distance running. No big deal. Sees Lorenzo Lamas talking to his girl and decides to impress her by hurdling. I love this scene.
Remember when Danny wanted to impress Sandy, what did he do? He went out for track and field and he started hurdling. You guys should all try the hurdles, the best event in the sports. Next up, we have Chariots of Fire. We're going into more of the serious movies now. This is the most famous track and field movie. I believe it won Picture of the Year. It's got some great scenes in it, but overall as a movie, if you're thinking I'm going to get my track team together, a bunch of high school boys, and watch Chariots of Fire and they're going to enjoy it, no, they won't. It's got the opening scene is fantastic. It's got the famous music by Vangelis that everybody knows. The scene around the courtyard is great. Some of the track scenes are great, but overall, it's not really a movie that high school kids are going to watch. We're going to watch one of the track and field scenes. This is the 400-meter race that we're going to see.
Looks like a real 400 stagger. This was set in the 1920s. Athlete named Eric Little. And yeah, that looks like a real race so far. They have actual athletes actually running, looking like they're running a 400. And the 400 is not an easy event, so it kind of shows a little strain on the muscles. This is pretty great, actually. Might be wondering what those ropes are for. Those are actually on tracks back in the day on the home stretch to keep the people in the 100 meters away from each other. That's a real thing. You'll also notice they never used blocks. What they did was they used a trowel and dug out where their feet were going to stand. That's what they did back in the day. Ever see Jesse Owens in the Olympics? He didn't use blocks. He had a trowel and he dug out where his feet were going to go. That's a bad head position to finish a 400 in, but the 400's tough. Form falls apart a little bit at the end. That happens to almost everybody who runs the 400. It's a very tough event.